everybody, welcome back for another video. Today we've got a complex topic and it's a little bit of a long video, but I promise you it's worth it because we have some destruction testing and we did some modifications of HP68s from the original HP68 to a chrome steel ball bearing HP68, and we did some comparisons. And we're going to get to that in just a minute, but I did have one thing that arose because I grabbed one of my yellow mags and I used my yellow mag instead of my black mags. And I want to explain to you what I have done and why that's important for you to know. So let's open up the yellow mag and pull out the spring. And let's open up the black mag and I'll take out this spring. Now, what I want you to know is that one of these, this is the spring that originally came from the yellow mag, and this is the spring that comes in your 15 round mags. And it's probably hard to see on camera, but I don't know if you can tell, compared to this one, which is very fragile and very not so strong. And I'm gonna put them side by side so you can see. So the one in my hand here is the stronger spring, and the one is the weaker spring. And the reason why I haven't gone over this before is because it may not be an incredibly obvious difference. Stronger spring, weaker spring, but the one here is a little bit thicker and it's a little bit stronger. So when you compress it, it's stronger, whereas this one is definitely weaker and flimsier. But the bottom line is when you use a weaker spring in this 15 round mag, what can happen is it may not press up tightly enough in the mag well, and your projectile will not be pressed up into the well at a good perpendicular angle against the force that's coming this way. And it's a very dynamic process, and it's very hard to visualize, and it's really a whole video in itself. But if this is pressing very weakly, then your HP68 would be more likely to either turn or to actually go past the detents and result in a double shot, or to go in at an angle and to jam. Whereas if your spring is stronger at a 90-degree angle, it is going to press that HP68 up against the top of the mag well much more tightly, and it's going to be more likely to go in quickly and stay in that orientation, and it's also going to be less likely to go forward and to result in double shots. So the 15 round mag comes with a strong spring, and I believe that is because these were designed to shoot VXR rounds. But if you ever buy a 10 round mag, they come with this weaker spring, and I put this weaker spring in my yellow mags in order to keep it separate. But for this particular video, I went and grabbed a yellow mag and I started to use it, and I noticed problems right away. And after the video was finished, I realized that I should have just used my stronger spring. So I put a note in there, but I thought I just definitely have to take the time to explain that. There's two different types of springs, and this is very analogous to the normal FSC spring that you get when you buy an FSC, and then the red spring, which is the stronger spring. The tension is, and the difference in the tension is very much the same between the normal spring and the red spring. If you go on the Grimburg website, they talk about using the red spring. They sell the red spring because it's better, it feeds better. And so for this particular video, don't be surprised because I had some feeding and jamming issues, and that was because I was using the weaker spring. Now this one works really well with Pepperballs, 3-gram projectiles. It feeds really well, and that's why I put it with my yellow, and in case I ever want to use Pepperballs, I've got that teamed up. But that was sort of a mistake I made when I grabbed these mags for this experiment. These are HP68s. You don't see me use these a lot. I stopped using them outside of my first video or so on the HP68s where I had a few jams. And I know that you can change the follower and you can get these to work in your TCP and FSC. They work really well in my VKS. Charge it up. Just gonna put 3 of them into the Kevlar. Take a look. Make sure everything's working okay. 1, 2, 3. I'm pretty happy with that option. But these are HP68s V1, and they're about 6.2 grams to 6.5 grams. And these are the ones that run really well in my VKS. I don't routinely run them, but I have a few here that I want to experiment with. And what I do is I put a little bit of Gorilla Glue sealant, Gorilla 100% silicone sealant inside the bottom, and then I put in a chrome ball bearing, chrome steel ball bearing. Let me show you what not to do first. This is an example of a ball bearing that is a 10 millimeter ball bearing, and I've removed part of the side of the HP68 so you can see how it fits down in there. But what you'll notice with the 10 millimeter ball bearing is that if I turn it around this way, you can see that it still protrudes from the top. And so that's not gonna feed right in your mag, and it's not gonna feed, and you're gonna get equally as bad issues with this type of setup. So you can see that that's not gonna work. It's just a little bit too big. And I have a bunch of these 10 millimeter ball bearings, and I did it in at least 2 of these. And this is one that had a little chip on it. But again, it was the same story. You can see it protrudes, it's a little bit too big. So you wanna go with a 9 millimeter ball bearing. And when you do that, you get this result. And this is pretty much perfection. You can see that it's not sticking out. It's basically flush, and I haven't had any issues with this, and we're gonna test it out. But you can see the ball bearing inside, and you can see the silicone sealant, and this one has been fired from the VKS multiple times, and it doesn't come out. It's in there. So what I'm gonna do is very quickly, I'm gonna do 7 more of these so that I can have more than just one. And then we're gonna go test them out and see. And push it right in. And give it a little push. And that's all there is to it. But you get some silicone gel on there and place it down in. Let's weigh these. This is my HP68, the original. And you can see that it reads 6. My scale can't tell the difference between 6 and 7. We know it's not 7. 6 point something. I know from doing a batch of all of them and dividing by the total number that it's about 6.5 range. I can do more of them. But here's one. This one now with the ball bearing is 9. So we know it's somewhere between 9 and 10. So let's do, that's the old one. Let's put these others on here, get a collection. So I think it's a total of 8. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 78. So 78 divided by 8. Let's weigh the HP68s. These are the originals. You can see them in here. Desk pack in there. Let's put them on here. Zero it. 0 gram. And let's put some in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you can see 6.4 grams. That's 10 of them. 64 grams, 6.4 grams each. And then my understanding is that these are about 3 grams each. So let's check that as well. So those back. Now let's put in some of these ball bearings. 10 ball bearings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so 2.9 grams So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to shoot from about right here where I normally shoot from. This is right at 20 feet. It's a reasonable self-defense distance. And I've got set up right here the target. It's going to be down on the ground, and I've got it covered with a box because I don't want glass to ricochet off. But I've got an old computer. The idea is we're going to put HP68s into one side, and we're going to put the custom HP68s into another side, and we're going to see if the ball bearing makes any difference in terms of the penetration or the damage on this target. These have now sit all night. They've gotten a chance to cure, and they should be ready to go. Got my yellow mag out this time. I think the yellow mag might be good to use. All my black mags are loaded with joules, and they stay loaded all the time. Let's take one of my yellow mags. Let's go down and find out how well these do in comparison to standard Grimburg HP68. First up, HP68s without ball bearing. I'll load those into my yellow mag. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do 3. All right, Grimburg HP68s are loaded. First 3 shots, I'm going to go for the left-hand side. Charged up. Let's try the laser. Okay, let's go take a look. All right, these are the 3 shots in the upper left-hand corner. Ignore all this down here before. That was from the previous video. And then we're going to go over here with the HP68s. The chrome steel ball bearing. I'll put in 1, another 1, 2, and 1 more, 3. All right, so we're going to do these 3 shots. All right, got the 3 in there with the chrome steel ball bearing. We're going to put 3 more shots, this time on the right-hand side. And got a jam. So there you go. Let's drop it out. Yeah, I think we got a jam. Okay, so at this point it's 3 versus 1. And let's very carefully take a look here. So we got 1 HP68 here, one broken, one of them there. And then this might be the one with the ball bearing. Yeah, there's no ball bearing there now. So these look like 3 HP68s, the original ones, and here's one right here, still intact. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. 1, 2, 3. Well, that's 3. So 3 of them there. This one that had the ball bearing would have hit here. These 3 hit 1, 2. But this is the kind of damage that we had. Now let's look at the back of it and see if we had anything that even got close to the back. I doubt it. definitely a miss. Nope, the back is perfectly fine. Now I'm shooting at 40 joules here, not trying to push it, just looking to make a comparison. One shot was up here, and then the two were here. So those are your 3 shots. And then the one shot was here. So that one made it through 2 layers. These didn't make it through the first layer. And then up here. All right, final. I'll try to do 2 without a jam. If I only get 1 and then it jams, then I'm going to stop. But we'll see if we can get 3 shots in there. Charge it up. Here goes 2 more. Nope. Jam. So second one always jams. And let's see if I can get that out. Degassed it. 1 ball bearing out here. And 1 ball bearing here. And I got my shots in there. 1, 2, 3. Open it up. And these also. So of the 4 HP68s that survived, let's take a look at them. Here's one that definitely hit on the glass. Really scratched up. But this thing was durable. These things are made to break glass at distance. This is one of the things that they're good at. And these things hit and right on point. So you know it was flying the way it was supposed to be flying, right on point, and eat up that glass. Some of the others, some didn't make it, but these survived, and I don't see obvious cracks, but I have to look at them a little bit closer. I got this thing up on the bar. I think this is a lot easier to see. These were the first initial shots with HP68s, and the first shot was right in here. And there's a metal bar that goes along here, and this is a very hard, thick plastic layer coated in glass. So there's a thin outer glass layer, then there's this very hard black material. This one went through both of them, and now you can see the internals of the computer inside there. And these other two made pretty substantial impacts in the secondary layer. They broke the glass, and I believe that these two were definitely a double shot. So this was 1 shot, this was 2 double shots of just HP68s, and these were without the ball bearing. When we look at the ball bearing side, I had a little more of an impact here below where the metal was, but you can see that it didn't do as much damage inside here. It didn't break through the metal. Same thing over here, it didn't break through the metal because I think the impact was higher. And but the other 2 impacts, which I think were a double shot, and probably because it's weaker, if you do a double shot with 2 heavier projectiles, these did very little of anything. You can see here in the better light, you can tell there was an impact. It broke the glass, but it had very little effect on the inner layer, the secondary layer. Whereas over here, the 2 HP68s, even as a double shot, did significant damage to the inner layer and busted through up here, whereas this one hit really hard. They all were able to break glass, but there was a significant loss in energy of the heavier projectile. So as you might expect, the lighter projectile was able to project farther and to break the glass better, but it actually carried more impact on the secondary layer, even as a double shot compared to this double shot. So nothing definitive here, but I think we can learn a little bit about, this is the same barrel, the same launcher, the same velocity, the same projectile, just one weighs about 2.9 grams more than the other. And we basically can make a comparison on the impact on glass breaking versus the effects on this inner layer. So I don't want to try to overinterpret it, but I do want to make sure that it's visible and you can see the impact and make your own conclusions. Let me know what you think.